I want to talk about Oregon for a second. I'm almost done. I don't want to bore you any more with this, but I think if my message got through, I'm happy. Oregon, I compared Oregon to all the other states. I even compared it to New York. Now, I want you to understand another little factoid. It's not just the battleground states where elections are stolen. In heavily Democratic states, Kerry won New York State by close to 2 million votes, true votes. Only 1 million recorded. In California, another big Democratic state, my best analysis shows that Kerry did 1.4 million higher than the margin he was given credit for. So what are we saying? What Bush did in 2004, he didn't want a repeat of 2000 where he won the electoral vote, lost the popular vote. Couldn't let that happen again. So where do you go where the votes, where do you go to get those votes? You go where the votes are. Like Willie Sutton went to the banks because that's where the money was. And you go to the states where nobody's going to question it. If Kerry wins in a landslide, who's going to question that he did not have 58%, he really had 64%, which is what the exit polls show, by the way. California, same situation. Of course, there are more voters in California and New York, so the discrepancy in the exit poll might not have been as great, but it had the same effect. Okay, so it's totally pervasive. The election fraud is all over. And now here we are in 2011. I'm involved in what they call the election on Facebook. I don't know how many of you are on Facebook. There's a group called the Election Integrity Group on Facebook. I'm a member. It's got 400 members now. It came into effect after the Supreme Court election on April 5th. I like to feel I was kind of instrumental in getting it started. Now we have over 400 members. Most of them are Wisconsin people who are present at the recounts, who have come up with seen anomalies. One big anomaly that I had was a very easy thing to find. There's one city in Wisconsin. Damn. Verona, thank you. Verona, Wisconsin, not Italy. Where Kloppenberg, the lady who's the independent, who apparently had won that election, she had 75% of the vote in Verona. But what they found in the recount was that there were 50 consecutive ballots for her opponent in a stack. 50. So I did a little simple calculation of the probability of this occurring. You would not expect 50. It's equivalent to this. If you don't follow baseball, a 250 baseball hitter, 250 batting average is not a good average. He'd have to get 50 base hits in a row. What are the chances that a 250 hitter would get 50 base hits in a row? The record, the Major League record for most consecutive base hits is 12. Are we going to, will there ever be anybody to get 50 in a row? Never. But there is, everything is possible, right? That's what the disinformationists will tell you. Well, it could have happened. Bush could have gotten lucky. Well, the odds against it happening, getting 50 consecutive ballots, is 1 in a trillion. But of course, you're going to get those know-nothings who are going to say, well, it's still possible. Yeah, just like they said the exit polls. It's possible that they were off by 7%. No. And then when you go back to 1988, like I did, and you do the numbers, you know that it's mathematically impossible. And it's impossible for Bush to have, in 2004, to have 52.6 million returning voters from 2000 when only 47 million were still alive.
It was deliberate.
Now that's what the National Exit Poll, New York Times would have you believe that. ABC would have you believe that. CBS would have you believe that. Because they are the national election pool. They're the big media giants. And they rule the roost. They do. The exit pollsters are paid by them. The exit pollsters do what they tell them to do. And then what they tell them to do is force a match to the recorded vote.
We're going to have to end soon.
So, what have they done? They thought that maybe by not having state exit polls in 2008, they wouldn't get caught, you know, like they did in 2004. But they had the final national exit poll. That's all we needed to prove the fraud. Because the final national exit poll, just like in 2004, there had to be more returning Bush voters than were still living. Now, how do I know that? Well, I know that Bush had 50.5 million recorded votes in 2000. Let's go to 2000. According to the national exit poll in 2004, there were 52.6 million returning Bush voters. But he only had 50.5 million votes. 2.5 million of those people died. So at most, only 48 million could have come out to vote. But they said that 52.6 million voted. You believe that? Have we just proven election fraud?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the end of my presentation.
It's kind of a scary world out there.
No kidding.
We're going to have a question and answer session that's going to